I purposefully walked into a woman who wouldn't let me off the elevator, by user tit for tat 101. Staying in a hotel for a week for a work thing. There's this woman who I encountered when attempting to get out of the elevator. She was either with her boyfriend or her husband. Elevator doors open, she's right there and she just zooms in. I have to jump back to avoid being mowed over. Her partner waits for me to exit. Well, the next day I'm leaving around the same time. Elevator doors open and there she is. Without thinking I'm like, not today, and with the same energy I power walk out, shoulder checking her. I'm shorter than her, so it's more like shoulder chest check. But she stumbles and gives me a dirty look. I just smile and continue on. I saw her one more time in the lobby and just smiled at her in the face of her glare. Worked out even nicer than I thought, by user ARP199. I live 100m from a school. And usually I'm totally fine with that. No problems whatsoever. What drives my up the wall is, when school's out, parents sometimes park in front of my driveway. So I come home from work and there is someone parked, still sitting in the car, in front of the driveway. Now I'm tired, had a bad day and kinda done with this BS. So I signal the guy to please move. He gives me the standard, it's just 5 minutes to pick up the kids routine. So I cut off my engine, blocking the entire street. People start honking until the traffic cop, who regulates the traffic and the start and end of school, comes over. He asks why I'm stopped and I answer. Oh, it's no big deal. This guy is just parked in front of my driveway for 5 minutes to pick up his kids. Cop goes over to the other guy and ends up giving him a ticket. I would have been happy with him just moving, but this turned out way better. Parked like an entitled jerk, so I ruined his yoga session, by user rough message 6078. My city has charge ports for electric cars in public lots. I can't install a charger for my car at my apartment building, so I rely on these public chargers for a hybrid car. When the program started, the parking spots had signs that read electric vehicles only. Because if a gas-powered car takes the spot, the charger can't be used as the cords don't go any further. Most cars blocking the spots could be reported to the police for towing. But certain entitled drivers of electric cars decide that these are their own personal parking spots. They wouldn't actually plug in to charge, they didn't need the free electricity. They just think their car being electric is giving them the equivalent of a handicap placard for a nicer spot. There is no towing them since they obeyed the sign, their car is electric. And it's always a Tesla. One morning I was driving up to a set of the charge ports because my app said one was free. While waiting at the nearby red light, I could see the spot was just taken and the driver was walking away. He wasn't charging his Tesla and I wouldn't be able to charge. I had no actual recourse to get the guy a ticket or towed like I could with a gas-powered car. So I waited about 20 minutes. Then I called the yoga studio he had walked into, right around the point when I figured his session had safely been going for a little while. I said to the woman picking up, "A person in your class drives a black Tesla, plates ___________. There's a tow truck about to hitch up the car for blocking a charging spot. You should really let them know immediately." She was immensely grateful, like I'd just done this jerk a huge favor. Shortly after he came barreling out of the studio and around the corner to save his car. It was obviously fine. I took pride knowing I'd not only thrown off his yoga session, but that he was also responsible for interrupting the class for everyone else and that they would all silently judge him. I mean, who wants the license plate of a bad driver read out during yoga? Sometimes when I need a pick-me-up, I like thinking about how he went back to do yoga, fuming that someone was screwing with him. Since then, the city realized these drivers ruin things for everyone and replaced all the signs to say electric vehicles only while charging. It's not the same joy as ruining yoga, but now I can just call the cops and get them ticketed for my petty revenge. Which I do every single time. Entitled Brats. Excuse me, by user nickners58. A few decades ago I was studying engineering in college. That meant engineering books, which are generally large and hardback. That means my backpack could approach 20 pounds on a bad day. This was a heavy pack day. One of my classes was in an old building where the classrooms were not well designed. The class of about 50 students had one 36-inch wide door to exit, which meant single file as we all had large packs full of books. The process was slow at best. It was like a large sink with a small drain. The door opened into a wide hallway where the next class waited to enter. Sometimes people from the next class would try to enter while the last class was exiting. Not ideal, but can be done if people are aware and limit their time in the doorway. One day there was a guy standing in the doorway talking to a friend. He could have taken a step back and to the side or forward and to the side and not impeded flow. Nope, Junior had to stand in that spot and make people squeeze past him. I decided to open the drain, remove the clog, flush the turd. I slung my book bag on my right shoulder, walked quickly towards the door, and as I entered the doorway turned sideways, so I could pass through, and said excuse me. My body could fit the gap he left in the doorway, book bag could not. My book bag swung around my body and caught him full in the chest. He was knocked out of doorway and speechless as he didn't expect the hit, nor was it obvious that I had planned it. I kept walking and a friend from class caught up to me. He was laughing as he was behind me and had a front row seat. I was the noisy neighbor, by user Scottish Warrior 05. Many years ago I lived in a semi-detached house in northern Scotland just outside of Aberdeen. And my neighbor put in numerous complaints that I had been making a lot of noise. And I will admit I had been making a lot of noise. As I was doing my job of running a ship engine, which is a really noisy thing. In Singapore. 8,000 miles away. This job meant I spent about 8 months of the year abroad sailing around the world on merchant ships and my house sat empty. This appeared to have little to no effect on the noise complaints that were submitted to the local council. This one of the signs that my neighbor was a super Karen. She was a nut job. She had even called the police because the children across the road were playing football in their own garden. She hated children and hated any noise they made. Then life took one of those hard turns which resulted in me putting the house on the market. In Scotland you put your house into a silent auction with sealed bids where it normally goes to the highest bidder. The key word being normally. There was 3 bids submitted to me for the house, all of which were in the same range. The lowest bid came from a lovely single mum. Who had 3 children. 2 of which had ADHD. And she was also planning to do a loft conversion which would create a lot of noise and disturbance to the neighbor. I sold the house to her despite it costing me a few £1,000s.